Hello. For a long time, I have been wanting to share and just to read from this book, Journey Beyond Words. This book was channeled by Jesus in the 90s to this man. His name is Brent Haskell, and it explains the Course in Miracles in language that is simple and beautiful and more easily digestible than the language of the Course in Miracles. And I want to be honest that in my life I struggled quite a lot with emotional stability and emotional well-being, staying happy. Negativity and a bad mood or even depression used to really wreck my life. And so for me, happiness, being happy, feeling good is has always been a number one priority. So the way one of the most successful things I've found that can help me to stay happy and to stay in that what metaphysical people call high vibration is studying the words of Jesus. And I went to a Bible college and I've studied the Course in Miracles. And this book, Journey Beyond Words, is so beautifully written and so easy to understand. I wanted to share a couple pages from the chapter on happiness because it makes me feel happy. And I'm just going to share a little bit. And if you're watching this video, I'd love your feedback on what you think of these words and these ideas about happiness. Because, I want to speak to people and hear what you think rather than just hearing myself and what I think. So Jesus says, imagine that state of happiness. He says, try to remember what happiness might be if you can, only for a moment. Imagine that state of happiness and peace and joy and love. They are, of course, all the same. That's interesting. What do you think that means? If you can imagine that state even for a moment, you will save thousands of years of your time. That's a lot of time. So try now, as you read, not to think. Now I'm going to take a break for a second and say that this is one of the biggest revelations in reading this book, Journey Beyond Words, because I'm very analytical. I'm very left brain and right brain. I'm always trying to figure stuff out, make it make sense. How does this relate to that? And amalgamate all the things I learn. And in these books, he's very clear. It's not about thinking. It's not about learning the words or the concepts. It's about feeling it and experiencing it, which really is the juicy part of life, right? It's one thing to know something or to believe something. It's another thing to feel it and to experience it. So he says, try now as you read not to think, but to feel. There is a place within you where your spirit knows that you are one, capital O. In your stillness, you can find that place. You will find your home, that harbor within you, where your real oneself, capital O, capital S, exists. You will feel that all is one. And as you feel that all is one, you will be able to realize that indeed your experience is one with you, that your experience is your one self. Now, as you read my words, allow yourself to experience what they represent. As you read oneness, let the feeling be within you. As you read unity, let the feeling be within you. And as you read peace, let that feeling be there within. Try to feel, to imagine that everything you have experienced and everything now or ever will experience is a unified part of what you are, in total harmony with yourself, capital S. Try to imagine, if even for a moment, that in your oneness it is not possible for anything to be out there. It's not possible for anything to be outside yourself. And then as you begin to feel that oneness, that unity, that harmony, allow yourself to become aware of just how safe you actually are. Try to imagine within this perfect harmony what there might be that could possibly bring you harm or wish you ill. Of course, you find nothing, for all that you find is yourself, and that is perfect harmony. Now, that's a lot. I read these words and I often kind of grapple with them. I'm perfectly safe. Nothing can wish me harm. There's nothing outside of me. Everything is within me. I'm interested what you think these words mean. I can kind of intellectualize some of them. Well, of course, everything's within me because I'm the one perceiving it, reacting it, responding to. But really, if I take that much further, that everything is a part of me and that nothing can bring me harm, it's very interesting. It causes you to take 100% responsibility for everyone you meet, everything that happens, because it's just a part of you. Now try to imagine in this state where you are one, where you are in total harmony, where you are unified with everything, where you are totally safe. Try to imagine being absolutely free to experience anything you can imagine. Try to imagine dynamic, moving, flowing, changing excitement. Imagine yourself as a small child playing with your existence in a world where you can do no wrong. I love that part, where you can do no wrong. Where there is nothing to even suggest anything other than that which brings you joy. Imagine yourself free within a freedom which entails anything you might imagine, and that shall be your happiness. The happiness of which I have been speaking is your right and is your inheritance. It is what you are as the Son of God. And when Jesus says Son of God, he means everybody. It's not a gender thing. It's just a all-inclusive, y'all are the children of God. I think it's just more poetic to say Son of God. It's just a metaphor for all of us. Every being, every aspect of your existence is part of the one self. You are the one self, just as I am the one self. Even God, the Creator, is the one self. And then he goes on to say to try to remember a time in your life when you knew that something would happen, and it did. All of you have had such times. This is a statement of what your spirit is and how it functions. Try to remember a time when for a moment or longer you knew without doubt, without conflict, with certainty that something was to be, and it was. Imagine that feeling, that certainty. Multiply it 1,000 times, and you will have an idea of the certainty with which God knows of your happiness, of your peace, and of your salvation. Within God, there is the perfect knowing that you are only peace, only joy, only happiness, and only love. That's a lot, right? Just even try to let that sink in. And in spite of the wanderings that lead you upon this sojourn through space and time and bodies and illusion, and all of it is just that, in spite of your vain imaginings, there is no doubt, there is no conflict, there is only total certainty within the mind of God about what you are. There is certainty within the mind of God 1,000 times greater than any you have ever known, that you remain his son. You are a part of God. You are one with God. And that same certainty must exist within you. Try to imagine now, if you can, that such a certainty is driving you along the pathway to your own joy, to your own peace, and your own happiness. There is nothing which can prevent the goal of your freedom and your joy. Your imaginings that it is not so are truly as nothing. Your imaginings that is not so are as the most minor setback along a pathway such as you might have imagined above, when you knew your goal would be realized. Would that you might take 1/1,000,000th of God's certainty about you and apply it to yourself as you experience this course. Would that you might, in every experience, know with that same certainty that the experience could not be outside of yourself, could not be other than yourself, and that what you are seeing is your one self. Would that you might know with that same certainty that the body, be it yours or your brother's, is an illusion, for there is only spirit, your brother's spirit, and both are but expressions of the one self. Just as God knows of your happiness and your joy and knows of its inevitability, do your best to know of that same happiness and joy for yourself and for all other beings. As you do that, you will save yourself the thousands of years we have mentioned. To the extent that you can apply that same knowing to your world, your grievances will quickly pass away. You will find yourself safe in the knowing that what seems to be outside you is nothing but an image formed by your spirit. Wow. Oof. That kind of gave me chills. You will find yourself safe in the knowing that what seems to be outside you is nothing but an image formed by your spirit. And in that knowing, all your physical trials and aches and pains and illnesses will pass away. You are unlimited. You are free. You are free to forgive, which means to realize that illusion is but illusion, nothing more. In your knowing that this world is but your brother's illusion as well, you become free to save the world. Truly, salvation comes from oneself. Joy and peace come from your oneself. Happiness comes from your oneself. And love. Love is your oneself. It is creative, growing, dynamic, flowing beauty. Feel that deep within your being. Feel its truth at the level where you are one, and you shall be free. Can you imagine if every child, if every adult, if every person felt this freedom and understood that all that is happening outside of us is just a reflection and a progression and a projection and coming from our spirit within, and that we're not wrong, that nothing is going wrong, that we are just experiencing this perceived separation from God and our separation from each other. And then that engenders so much fear and attack and defense. And all of that is this illusory play. But if this is true, if there is a well of love within us, if that is what we truly are, is love and peace and joy, then wouldn't it be worth our effort to try to uncover it and to connect with that and to feel it and to experience it, no matter what religion or spiritual practice or book you're reading? Isn't the point of all of it to feel better and to feel love and to feel connected to ourselves and to each other? As I send this happiness chapter out to you, I send it with a vision that we can all find that happiness within ourselves and strip away the barriers to love, strip away the fear, strip away all the conditions that are creating that fear, and that we would open our minds and our imaginations and our hearts to the possibility, even if we open our minds just a little bit, that this might be true. That maybe Jesus Christ was a man who really lived and rose from the dead, and whether he meant to start a religion or not, does it matter? If he did channel these books, and I believe he did, if we can align with this wisdom and make it true for us in our lives, why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we welcome this happiness and this freedom? Again, the name of the book is Journey Beyond Words, and I offer it to you because it helps to make me happy, and I want to share that happiness with you. Take good care today, and just imagine that deep within you is love and a oneness and joy and peace. Try to feel that and experience that today, if even just for a moment or a few moments. Namaste.